Thank you everyone for coming across to our podcast, usual podcast, guys. My name is Randy Lloyd, and we have here today Desmond Croker. We are going to do an extension to a podcast we did just the other day concerning healthy lifestyle and healthy living, and the importance of healthy lifestyle and healthy living with your mental health. Right. So Desmond Croker is advanced in his knowledge of diet and nutrition, and he's also a registered nurse. I'm going to let him speak to you. So guys, thank you very much for all those who are listening on my Facebook page. I'm just going to be on Instagram too as well. This is going to be on YouTube. Thank you very much for coming across, guys. So without further ado, let's get into our discussion with Desmond Croker. Desmond, how are you going?
I'm well, thanks. Happy to be here and happy to share my knowledge with the members of the public.
Yes, man, that's very good. So the reason why I have this conversation and an extension of it is because I have clients in the mental health space area. And what I would do, I would normally tell them that, hey, exercising is always good for the mind. Eating healthy is always good for the mind. Take smoking and caffeine. These are instruments that can damage your mental well-being. And I realize I am not into the medical or the dietitian world and so on. I just eat healthy, thank God. I just exercise, thank God. So I know the effects of this to your mind, Desmond. So, but what I'm doing, I'm reaching out to individuals outside of my area so that I can talk with them and have a conversation on what and their area. So that's why I'm reaching out to you, so that you can help us to understand why it is that your area is so important, even to the mental health space, which I am in, and so on. And so one of the first questions I want to just reach out to you and just say is, give us a little background of yourself. What it is that you do, and how did you get involved in it, and so on. I know we were discussing it earlier, but you can share it with the public.
Okay, I am a registered nurse by profession, as you identified. Mm-hmm. And part of my experience and exposure as a registered nurse is that I would have done special training mm-hmm. in diabetes management, and the training in diabetes management has equipped me with the skills in healthy lifestyle management in general. And so this can be applied to any sphere of life. And so I would have applied it in diabetes management, in any chronic disease management, and in diabetes prevention, chronic disease prevention. And chronic disease prevention is basically what you're talking about here. Because if someone is focusing on their preventing diseases, is part of what mental health is part of that. Mental health is part of your disease prevention goals. And so I see this is how what I do interacts so much with what you're doing as a mental health counselor.
Okay, awesome. Awesome, very good. And so what is the importance of having a healthy lifestyle to your body and to your mind? Why is it having a healthy lifestyle to your body so important that it connects with your mind from your perspective?
Okay, if I may be allowed to share screen, I want to show.
Okay, so let me see if I could allow you to share screen just now. Yes, go ahead. You should be able to share screen now.
I want to show you something about wellness and what it entails. All right. Sure. So this slide here mm-hmm. that is on the screen gives you. I should try to enlarge it a little bit.
Okay.
It gives an indication of what wellness entails. And a lot of times when people talk about being healthy, they only focus on the physical health. oh, I don't have any diseases, I don't have any aches and pain. But then if we look at this here, we see that there are different dimensions that make up this healthy body that we aiming to have. All right. And we see that physical health, which we focus on a lot, is only one portion of what the whole body need in order to be healthy. All right. There's social health that has to do with how much we're able to interact with others, how we relate with people. All right. Intellectual health, how we're able to think, how we're able to reason, and there's emotional health. You know, a lot of people are triggered off easy. The slightest thing you say to them, they get angry, and that has to do with their emotional health. And again, very important, just spiritual health. All right, your relationship with God and whoever you see as the supreme being, and then your environmental health, as with your surroundings, how well you keep your surroundings. And we're saying that in order for us to be truly healthy, we need to achieve high levels or optimum levels of health in each of these dimensions. And so and the other thing is that they all interact with each other. So that if I am not healthy emotionally, it affects my physical health. It affects my social health. All right, because if I'm a person that gets angry easily, I'm not gonna have much friends. That affects my social health. All right, it's gonna affect my spiritual health. How can I witness to people about Jesus if you know, they can piss me off easily? Right? It affects my environmental health. And so we're saying that unless we are able to create that balance with every aspect of our health, we are not healthy. We can be we can have a lot of muscles, we can have no pain, but yet still we can be unhealthy. And so if we go into, it's important therefore that we interact, that we understand the interaction of all these here. When we're going to talk about mental health, when we're going to talk about physical health, any form of health we're talking about, we cannot leave out the whole body. This is what makes up us as a whole body. All right. And so that's about it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, if somebody was to ask you a question, Desmond, in terms of, we get all this: physical, social, electrical, intellectual, emotional, spiritual health, and so on, environmental health. If somebody was to simply ask you a simple question as, how do I know that I am healthy? Do you have a yardstick or measuring stick or some kind of something to tell people, okay, yes, you are healthy in this? Or is it, how can a person know that they are healthy, to say, well, I am healthy?
All right. I would need to, let me bring up my screen again here. No, there is no definite yardstick that we can use to determine your state of health. Now, health can be seen from what we call a continuum.
All right.
Right? And so here we have on this screen what we call the wellness continuum. And the wellness continuum is a concept that says that all that we have just mentioned about health and wellness, all right? For each of those dimensions, it falls on this continuum. So try to imagine a line, all right? One line, a straight line. And on one end of the line, there is irreversible disability or death. The other end, so you're dead or almost dead. On the other end, you are in the best health possible.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
And so the concept is that health and wellness, your health and wellness will fall somewhere along this line.
Yeah.
Between being almost dead and having the best health that you can have. The aim, however, is to strive towards reaching to the right side of this continuum. That is the aim. The aim is to go towards, to move towards the health, the right side. However, there are things that can carry us, can keep us moving back and forth on this line. And the things that we do is what will determine where on this line we are. So it's not a fixed position, all right? It's not a fixed position. It's something that is dynamic. It keeps moving all the time.
Okay. And so we have to learn now how to always try to put ourselves on the spectrum side of total health.
Right.
Okay, so I like how you express that it is like a continuum. So if you know exactly where you are, honestly tell yourself, okay, I am on this end of the spectrum. I need to do things to get to the other end of the spectrum so that I can understand where my health is and so on. And if we watch your spectrum a little bit more, you have in the middle, you have the neutral point, signs of illness, and then you have signs of health and wellness, and then you have on the improved health and wellness, and then the other end is chronic illness. I mean, chronic illness is where we don't want to be, and chronic illness.
Exactly. That is what we're preventing. That's what we're preventing.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing here, Desmond, is like we're seeing here like the signs of illness and the signs of health and wellness is one of the ways we can get our identity to know that, okay, I am going on the right path or I'm going on the wrong side of the spectrum, because you're seeing the signs. But that is something that we have to be honest with ourselves with. And yeah, I observe that, because sometimes we will see the signs of illness, but we ignoring it until we reach the point where, nah, boy, sometimes we ignoring it a lot, and we just don't want to admit to ourselves, hey, you know, you're finding getting sick too often. You have to go by a dietitian, you have to go by a therapist for your mental health, you have to go by your doctor for your health and so on. And we just
the other thing, Randy, is that a lot of times we tend to put these signs of illness towards old age. Oh, I'm getting old, so I'm getting this pain because I'm getting that. And really and truly, that is not necessarily the case. All right. It's just that we are not doing what we should do to keep on the right side of this continuum.
Okay.
All right. And so we ignore the signs of illness.
Right.
And then it shifts. We go further left, and it becomes chronic illness like diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, stroke, and and these things start to take us over. Arthritis and all those things.
And do you know that all of this, when it reaches the point of illness, it starts to affect the mind or the mental health?
Of course.
Yes,
of course.
It affects the mental health.
As I mentioned before with the previous slide, anything that affects one dimension of wellness will affect all the other dimensions of wellness, and so it's for people to understand that it's not, oh, my physical health is okay, or a lot of people sacrifice the physical health for other things, not recognizing the effect that it will have on the other dimensions of the health, right? And so it's important to understand that, and how you not being physically well can affect your mental health, and that takes in like your emotional health, how you relate to people, right?
Yes.
That takes in things like your social health, how you're able to interact, how you're able to make friends, you know. Those are things that are aspects of your mental health. All right. And so you find you have people that are not able to do those things. And it can be directly related to their physical health as well, and them not taking charge of their physical health.
Yes. So now that we understand, and everyone out there, I hope you're really listening, that Desmond is a professional in his area. I'm not a dietitian, but he is one. And because I understand, Desmond, the effects of diet to your mental health. I understand it, but it's just that I am not in that area. So that's why I'm reaching out to you guys to talk about it. So let's have this conversation and so on. So now that we have this connection, let's talk now about the diet itself now, the actual diet. How important do you think the diet is to your actual health in your body and so on?
All right. Just a quick correction. I'm not a dietitian, but I'm a registered nurse, and I've had training in diabetes management. Which component of that is diet, managing the diet.
Yes.
And so I would use that that training to help people with the diet. I want to place a plug in here that there are people that are specially trained in diet, the dietitians, right? They're specially trained in diet, and I believe in giving the kudos to the people who did their specialty training. As I said, however, I would have had, in my training as a diabetes educator, I would have had to learn how to talk with people about their diet. And so I would have learned some things about diet management, which I can share, with people. I just want to let that be out there. Now, we're talking about our diet. Now, in order for our bodies to function, it needs some things we call nutrients. Nutrients are the chemicals that we find in food that provide the body with the necessary resources that it needs to function effectively. Right? And we know that those nutrients are fats, proteins, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and very important, water. And it's about you being able to find the kind of foods that will provide your body with the right amount of the nutrients or resources that it needs to carry out its function. And those foods would provide some form, or to some extent, or some amount of each of those nutrients that we just mentioned. Now, here in the Caribbean, and or I should say the world over, they would have identified foods that provide us with those nutrients. And so they place the food that we eat into what we call food groups. So every country have their own food group. And here in the Caribbean, we also have a set of food groups that we use to, that's because the kind of foods that we find here in the Caribbean is to some extent different to what you get in the US or in Canada. And so those food groups are based on what is available. All right. So I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to show you the food groups of the Caribbean. All right. Where is that? Caribbean food groups.
And when you, what we see in here also is that with the nutrition that we eat, once we continue keep on eating those and getting in those nutrition, we are moving alongside the continuum of healthy.
That's right. That's right.
So what we're seeing is a connection with diet, with the nutrition, and going to the other end of the continuum of healthy lifestyle and so on. So that is I'm seeing that. Yeah. So I'm seeing the connection here to with
exactly
the actual diet.
Right. So here in the Caribbean, like I said, we have 6 food groups that have been identified by the specialists in this area. All right. And they're saying that foods in the Caribbean can be divided into 6 categories. All right. We have staples, and these are the food that make up our staples. All right. Then there are legumes and nuts, and these are the foods that make up our legumes and nuts. And again, these are things that we can find right here in the Caribbean. All right. The third one is our vegetables. Oh yes, you know, the Caribbean, when it comes to vegetables, green leafy vegetables, and so it's in abundance. All right. Then we have the fruits. Oh yeah, we have a wide variety of fruits as well. And then our food from animals. All right, so those are the 6 groups. Now, the recommendation is that in what they put together is that what is called the multi-mix principle, where you're mixing food groups in order to prepare meals.
Yes.
The recommendation is that in each meal, we must have staples. And why staples? Is because the staples is what provide the sugar that we need for energy. And energy is important for any function of the body. All right. In order for you to breathe, the body has to use energy to expand the respiratory system, allow air to get into the lungs. In order for you to rest, all right, you need energy. Everything we need energy for. And we're saying that the staples is what provide that energy that we need. And so it is important that our food has staples in it.
Okay.
Now, the multi-mix principle says that we can either have a 2, or it could be either 2 or 4. So you can use 2 of the 2 or 3, right? You can use 2 of the food groups to create a meal. So you have a staple and a food from animal, all right? Or you can have a staple and some vegetables for the persons who are legumes and nuts, for the person who who are vegetarians, all right? Or you can have a 3 multi-mix meal where you have the staples again, and you have legumes along with food from animal, or legumes and vegetables. It does not mean that you leave out, if let's say you're going to the 2, that you leave out the others, but you want to ensure that in the meal you have a staple. I have 2 or 3 of these food groups. All right. So you have your staples. As I said, all your meals should have staples in it. All right. And you decide whether you're going to add some legumes to that. Vegetables, again, is something that is free. So you decide it's something that is good for you, and you can't have too much of it. All right. So you have your vegetables and you have your fruits as well. Nice. So you choose which one you will have. All right. And we talked about the food from animals. Now, the other part of that is determining how much of each of these is enough for you.
Okay.
And this is where you sit down with a dietitian. And in my case, I talk with persons with chronic diseases and persons who want to prevent chronic diseases.
Okay.
We have to sit down and look at their lifestyle and
Yes.
understand what are their activities, what are the things that they do, and for that particular person, determine
Yes.
how much of the staples that person will need, how much food from animals they would need, that will help them to keep going, following the lifestyle that they are living, or the lifestyle that they want to actually live. All right.
Okay.
So, but
Okay.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. No, I would just, it's so significant about what I'm observing here. And sometimes people will make excuses and say they can't be healthy because they're on a budget, or they can't be healthy because they don't have no money to be healthy. But
Right.
I'm watching this, what you're saying here, and I'm saying, but
Yeah.
but it is possible. So from
Yes,
your
it is.
perspective, if somebody come and tell you, Desmond, hey, listen, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not making enough money to live that kind of life. So I just have to eat the KFC. I have to eat those type of food and so on. But what will you tell a client when they come to you and they say they have to eat the KFC because they're not on the budget can't handle that healthy lifestyle? What you just tell them?
Right. So I always say to people, it depends on what you consider as important.
Okay.
Right? Because if you consider your health as important, you're going to make the sacrifices that is necessary in order to, because you will make the sacrifices for lots of other things. All right.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
you need to know, again, it goes back to understanding what are considered healthy foods. A lot of times people think that to eat healthy is to eat expensive things. And it's not necessarily so. All right. And it goes back to what you are willing to do. Because, okay, you may say that things are expensive in the market, but the people that you're buying food from, they're buying those same expensive things to sell you. So you're getting it at a second hand, right?
Yeah.
So you basically paying
Yes.
more. All right. The other thing, the other rebuttal I have for that is that, all right, vegetables expensive. Well, plant your own.
Okay.
All right. Yeah,
Okay.
plant your own. Because I mean, we in the Caribbean here, we have land. Most of the time we have land available to us.
Okay.
But even if you don't have land available, you can have some pots. And I remember when I was in Trinidad, you know, I would plant different kinds of vegetables in pots. All right, and I reap a whole lot from them. You know,
Yes.
all I spent is some money for some seeds or some seedlings, and
Yes.
you know, maybe a little fertilizer now and then, and I was able to get quite a lot of vegetables just with that small amount of money that I spent. And so
Yes.
it goes back to understanding that if you want something, you have to make the sacrifices that is necessary to achieve it. All right. So you need to determine what you really want.
Right.
What is your priority? What is really important for you? And if your health is important to you, you need to make the sacrifices in order to achieve them.
Yes. All right. So we get diet now, Desmond. So let's shift now to exercise. Right.
All right.
I know that the importance of exercise to my body and my health, right? To my mind too as well. I try to explain to clients, listen, exercise is important. And even with exercise, it can help your mental health. From your perspective as a professional, what is your, what would you see that, why would you say exercise is important to your body and to your mind.
All right. So again, we cannot separate these things from each other. So we were just talking about diet and how diet provides the kind of nutrients that the body needs to function effectively. Now, we talked about staples and carbohydrates and the fact that these staples provide the energy. It provides the resources that the body needs to make energy. All right, so it don't really provide energy. It provides the raw material. It's like if you're making concrete blocks, you need cement, you need sand, you need water, you know, right? To make the blocks. So the body needs some resources in order to make energy. And those resources come from our carbohydrate foods, all right, or our staples. Now, when you take those foods in, the body now has to convert that into energy. Now, converting that into energy, the body would store that energy for when you would need it. Now, it's like a bank account. All right. So when you eat, you're depositing energy into the body. The good thing about the bank account is that but then even with the bank account, if you keep banking money and putting money into the bank and not using it, you're really not benefiting from it. All right? You're really not benefiting from it. So you keep eating food and this food is being turned into energy. Energy is what we need to be active, but you're not active. So this food, this energy bank keep building up and building up and building up. And guess what? After a while, these stores become full and the body has to use other means to store this energy that we pack in our body.
Packing up,
And guess what it is stored as now? Fat.
Fat, yes.
It's stored as fat. All right, and so we start to gain weight and we find that our ability to do things starts to lessen. All right.
We have too much energy then. We have too much energy.
Right. Too much unused energy.
Unused energy.
Energy. And so we build fat, and this fat starts to get into our blood vessels and block up those blood vessels, and we develop heart problems, we develop circulation problems, we develop blindness or vision problems, right? And so the point I'm making is that when you put in, you got to be taken out as well. So as you put in the food, you need to take out it in the form of energy. And this is where exercise comes in. All right. And so when we exercise, we help the body to use up the energy that is stored there so that it can now demand more resources to make fresh energy. And so there's no space for storing up of this energy. There's no space to store up for this energy so that it becomes fat and start making all kinds of problems in your body. Whereas on the other hand, if you don't exercise, you're creating that opportunity. And so you have all kinds of diseases becoming part of your life. And you want to know, I used to be able to do this and do that, but then now I can't do it. And again, instead of blaming it on the fact that you're not doing the things necessary, we say, oh, I'm getting old. So these are the things that are going to happen to me as I get old. It's not necessarily so. Not necessarily so. So exercise is very important.
and like how you said that, because when you see the fat goes into the bloodstream and so on, and it started gets to heart disease and it started slows you down and so on. That is when now the mental health started kicking in, because they started talking about
Exactly.
they started get all stress, they started get
Yep.
anxiety, started feel
Yeah.
depressed. And all of that is because you didn't, the exercise was lacking, so that you can use up the energy, so that the blood is free, not clogged up and so on. So it's like a total connection,
It is
Desmond,
a
I see.
connection right
And
through. It's
there's
a
like
connection right
like,
through.
yeah, and that's like a wow to me, because it shows how that this diet, even though the diet is important, but too much of it gets into the bloodstream, and when it gets into
Right.
the bloodstream, it affects the
Exactly.
mind. Because so exercise and diet is like a twofold
Right.
connection for a proper mental health, for proper mental health functioning, right? And so
Yeah,
it's like a wow.
yeah. Um, I I have, as we have established, I have been working with people with diabetes and high blood pressure and those things, and I have seen quite a number of times where these people would have challenges with people at work, right? They would come into work and be out for no reason, be making a lot of mischief and confusion with people, quarreling with people and things like that. And when you check their blood sugar at that, if you check their blood sugar at the time when they're causing all this confusion, it is high. All right. When
Oh,
you check the blood
okay.
pressure at that, when you check blood pressure at that time, when they have problems with their family, quarreling with their family, and
Yeah.
it is high. And so we're
Wow.
seeing a direct connection between their mental health, which is how they relate with people, how they think, how they connect with people,
Yeah.
directly related to physical health. All right.
Yes.
And so it's important that people understand that there is that connection. We can't separate it.
Right.
Separating it is like burying your head on the sand,
Yes. Yes.
and ignoring the reality of life. So if we're going to have proper mental health, we need to ensure that our body is functioning
Right.
effectively.
Yes.
Wouldn't function effectively with high blood pressure, high blood sugar, or even if you don't have those things presently, if the body is overloaded and the energy is not used up, all right? You see these high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and those things don't come up overnight.
Okay.
All right, they don't come over, it comes on gradually. And it's these little small things that we're doing by not eating right, by not exercising. Those are the things that build up towards the eventual things of high blood pressure, heart
Yes.
problems, and,
Yes.
and those kinds of things. And so we want to avoid those by ensuring that we eat right, ensure that
Yes.
we exercise. And again, I want to stress that if our physical health is not right, it affects our mental health, it affects our
Yes.
spiritual health, it affects everything. And so we got
Yes.
to look at it from a holistic perspective and
Yes.
understand the importance of doing the things that we can do to, to keep our mental health intact.
That's so wise. And in the future, I am looking to have a conversation with some theologians and how the spiritual life and the biblically, what the spiritual life, how the spiritual life is connected to your mental health and so on. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, I'm going to have a conversation with that too sometime in the future. All right, so Desmond, just to like wrap up, right?
All
Someone
right.
comes to you and say, okay, I'm good with this. I like what you said. What is my first thing I could do? What's my first priority when I want to become a healthy person? What do you think is the first thing I need to do?
All right. The first thing I always say to people when it comes to a decision like this is that you want to make that choice. Actually, my motto is healthy lifestyles begin with a choice.
Right.
Now, making, deciding to live a healthy lifestyle requires making some adjustments to what you're accustomed to doing. Okay. It requires making adjustments to a lot of things about your life.
Right. Yes.
Those adjustments do not come easily because we know the old adage that says that habits die hard. All right?
Yes.
And so when you have to decide that, well, instead of having this big plate of food, I need to cut that down to a smaller plate. It takes that mindset. It takes that mindset for you to just eat a smaller plate of food. It takes that mindset to get up in the morning or in the evening and go and do some exercise. It takes that mindset that will ensure that you are consistent with whatever decisions you make. And so once you have that mindset, you have the all right, let me show again my screen, right?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Once you have set up that mindset, all right, here are some things some steps that you can use to achieve that goal. All right. So you want to identify what behavior you want to, what is this new behavior you want to adopt? Is it that I want to, and I want to also stick in here that while there might be a number of things you have to make adjustments to, it makes it more complicated if you try to fix everything at one time. So identify one. Okay. Identify one. So you say, okay, I need to start exercising. All right. So yes, you need to fix the diet. Yes, you need to do a lot of other things, but let's start with exercise. So you identify that target behavior. Then you want to learn more about what the target behavior is. So a lot of times people say, oh, I'm going to get up tomorrow morning and start exercising. And then they're going to run on the road, they do all kinds of things. And then in 2 days, they mash up, you know, this exercise thing can't work for me because every time I try to exercise it. So you want to learn about what exercising is and how I can start exercising. Then you want to ask your motivation and readiness for this change. Am I really ready? Am I really, do I really have the mindset that it takes to make this behavior change? All right. Okay. Develop the self-efficacy. It means learning about what it takes. It might entail getting help from the specialists, people like yourself, people like me, you know, getting the kind of help that you need in order to make that behavior change. Cultivate an internal locus of control. Now, a lot of times when it comes to behavior change, people want this quick fix. You know, true. I want a diet. Give me a diet to work on. So I go on a 1 month fast, or I go on a, you know. But this thing is not a seasonal thing. This must be, you know, when I talk with my clients, I say to them, this is not a sprint. It's not a 100-meter sprint. It's a long distance race. A long distance race. So this rush to just do things and finish is not the way to go. So you want to develop that control. And then you're going to set realistic goals. So the goals that you're going to set for yourself must be things that you can achieve. You use shaping, right? You want to ensure that you you make the necessary adjustments to your own life in achieving these goals. Anticipate barriers. There will always be barriers that are going to come. Rain going to fall. This is going to happen.
Yes,
And
yes,
so
yes, yes.
you have to put things in place to circumvent those barriers. A very important aspect is enlisting others in your change. You know, there are times when you're gonna feel like, hey, I feel like getting up this morning, but then when you have somebody working out with, all right, that person comes, they're gonna give you that kind of motivation and vice versa. So enlist others as part of the change agent. Sign a contract with yourself. All right, write out this contract and say, this is what, just like how you would sign a contract with your employer, all right, or other people. Sign this contract with yourself. Visualize the new behavior. See yourself, how following this new behavior, what is going to be that end goal. Visualize what it's going to be looking like. Learn to counter, right? Again, like we said, things are going to happen. Things will come up. You got to learn how to counter those things. All right. Control the situation. Change your self-talk. Talk to yourself. All right. I in 1997, not 97, in 2007, I made a decision to start my exercise program. And it wasn't easy at first, even though it's not easy. You know, sometimes you got, you know, when that clock alarm saying it's time for you to get up and prepare to exercise, you know, you want to sleep a little more, but you got to talk to yourself and tell yourself, yeah, where's this? How you got to be able to visualize this new behavior, the goal of this behavior. Talk to yourself, all right? Come on, get up out of this bed and go do what you have to do. Reward yourself, all right? Rewarding yourself don't have to be food. You can reward yourself with things, you know, that you, right? You may need things, but as you achieve your goal, you reward yourself with that goal. And then the final thing I have here is to keep a journal.
Keep a journal,
because when you have that journal, you can look back to see where you were and things where you were
progress and so on.
Comparison. And those are the things that will motivate you, help you to keep motivated to keep going on. Because when you're going to see, like I said, in 2007, when I started exercising, I couldn't do 5 push-ups off my knee, you know.
Wow.
But when I can compare it to then, you know, eventually I was able to do 50 push-ups easily straight, right?
Okay.
And so when you keep that journal, right, especially for the visual person, when you keep that journal, you have that opportunity to look back at what you were when you started and where you are now. And that can be a source of motivation to help you to keep going. All right. So these are just some tips that we can use in making those changes that we need. And again, I want to tie it into what you do. And when we make those behavior change, it helps us in our relations with people. It helps us in our mental health, all right, our social health, our emotional health, and we're better able to able to have better mental health as we socialize with people.
Well, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. And I like how you put everything together, how you connected everything to the mental health, how you connect the diet and the exercise. And I'm so happy that we're having this conversation, that so people out there can understand how important it is for the physical body and the mental part of your life. And then you connect in all other areas, the social, the environmental, the spiritual, and you know, so all of this connects with our body to have a healthy life, a healthy human life, and so on. So Desmond, how can people reach out to you, and if they want to connect with you, if they want to work with you and so on, how can people connect with you and reach out to you?
All right, they can connect with me. We have a website.
Okay.
You can go to our website, amcec.net, amcec.net.
Okay.
And you can, well, it's that website is basically for persons with chronic diseases. So we have a assessment form that people can fill out who have diabetes, high blood pressure, and those things. And once they fill out that form, it comes to us and we can make contact with you. So that's one way you can contact us. Other than that, you can contact us via WhatsApp. All right. And the WhatsApp number is 649. My background has it, but I noticed that it's turned back to front. What?
Oh no, I haven't. I see the clear, man. 649-232-4253.
That's right. That's
yeah,
the
man,
WhatsApp.
I see it clearly.
And there's the website address there as well, right?
Yes,
amcec.
amcec.net. Okay.
All
So
right.
that is how we reach out to you so that they can
So
work
that's
with you.
right. All right.
Okay.
So you contact me in any one of those ways, and we will reach out back to you.
All right, nice, man. So Desmond, I am still going to continue this conversation sometime in the future. Just always have this conversation about your physical health, connected to your mental health and so on. So this is really, really awesome. I want to thank you again for coming across, and all those who are there listening on Instagram, on Facebook, who are listening on my YouTube channel and page, and all those who are there on my podcast. Thank you very much. To reach out to Desmond, just reach out to him, amcec.net, if you want to concern your physical health, because it is very important to connect with your mental health. And as well as his WhatsApp is 649-232-4253, all those who are there on my podcast. All right. So thank you very much, guys, for coming across. Stay tuned. We have more podcasts coming up by God's grace next week and week after and so on. We want to have continuous discussion in areas outside of my field so that we can understand how that area affects the mental health and how the mental health affects that other area outside of my professional field. So thank you very much, guys, for coming across. Desmond, just stay on. Guys, I would see you on the next one.